This episode is brought to you by Amazon Business. We could all use more time. Amazon Business offers smart business buying solutions, so you can spend more time growing your business and less time doing the admin. I can see why they call it smart. Learn more at amazonbusiness.com.
Welcome to From Dorms to Desks, job hunting tips for those early in their careers. A podcast brought to you by College Recruiter job search site, which believes that every student and recent grad deserves a great career, and hosted by Work Defined. Join our AI co-hosts as they dive into tips, tricks, and insights that will help you land your next part-time, seasonal, internship, or entry-level job. Let's get your career started.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we are going to be diving deep into the world of college internships here in the U.S.
Okay.
And we've got some really interesting excerpts that we're going to be looking at from a 2024 research report called Building Better Internships.
Right.
And this report is based on the 2023 National Survey of College Internships, which is also known as the NSCI.
Right.
So we're going to be pulling some interesting data points and some anecdotes, I think, from this report.
Yeah. Looking forward to it.
Yeah. So our kind of mission today is to really try to get a clear picture of, what the internship landscape looks like these days.
Okay.
We want to kind of unpack things like participation rates, what program quality looks like, what the internship experience is actually like for students. And then, of course, equity and access to these opportunities.
Sounds good. Let's dive in.
All right. So I've always been curious about how many college students actually do internships.
Yeah.
It seems like everybody's talking about them these days, but are they really as widespread as they seem?
That's a good question. It's interesting you say that because there's often a disconnect between, kind of the perception versus the reality of internship participation.
Okay.
The NSCI found that while 70% of first-year college students expect to do an internship during their college years, less than half of graduating seniors actually have done one.
Wow, that's a pretty significant gap.
Yeah.
What's going on there?
Well, it really kind of reveals that there's a disconnect between expectations that students might have when they enter college and the realities of the current internship market.
Right.
And it suggests that we need to do a better job of preparing students, and giving them the resources and guidance they need to be able to navigate this landscape successfully.
Okay.
There's also the simple fact that there's often more students seeking these internships than there are available positions.
Oh, nice.
Not every company or organization has the resources or the structure in place to be able to host interns. And even when these internships are available, there are still a lot of barriers that prevent students from actually being able to access them.
So it's not just a matter of, wanting to do an internship. It's actually about, being able to find one and then overcoming whatever obstacles might be in your way.
Precisely. It highlights why it's so important for students to be, thinking strategically and planning early on.
Right.
If they're considering internships as part of their, college and career journey.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Now, before we go any further, I think it's important to kind of define what we're actually talking about when we say internship. I feel like the term gets thrown around a lot, but it can mean so many different things.
Yeah, you're right. Internship can be a really broad term, and it does get used in lots of different ways.
Right.
Luckily, we have some organizations like the National Association of Colleges and Employers, or N.
Okay.
And they provide a clearer framework for thinking about internships. They emphasize that a legitimate internship should really be focused on integrating classroom learning with practical applications in a professional setting.
Right.
And it should really hone in on those learning goals and make sure that the student has a mentor who can help them to meet those goals.
So it's not just about getting your foot in the door or adding a line to your resume.
Right.
It's about having an experience that is structured and actually helps you develop some valuable skills and knowledge.
Exactly. And NACE actually goes a step further and provides specific criteria to evaluate whether an internship is truly legitimate or not.
Okay.
Meaning, is it providing real educational value or is it just providing cheap labor?
Right.
And so, one of their criteria, for example, emphasizes that the internship should be similar to training that would be given in an educational environment.
I like that a lot. So it's almost like you're taking what you're learning in the classroom and applying it in the real world. And you've got this, this expert who's already working in the field who can kind of guide you along the way.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah.
So we've talked about, internships are supposed to be these valuable learning experiences, but are they really? I mean, what are the actual benefits of doing an internship beyond just having something to put on your resume?
Well, you're right that, having that experience on your resume is a plus.
Sure.
But the benefits really go far beyond that.
Okay.
Studies have shown that students who do internships actually tend to have higher graduation rates.
Wow.
And they tend to earn more over the course of their careers.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And then beyond just the data, there's also the impact that these internships can have on a student's confidence and their career clarity.
Yeah.
It's like they get to test drive a career path before they fully commit to it.
I've actually heard that from a lot of friends who've done internships. Yeah, they say it really helps them figure out what they want to do.
Yeah.
Or sometimes what they don't want to do.
Exactly.
And it can kind of save you from, going down a path that's not really a good fit.
Absolutely. And that kind of self-discovery can be just as valuable as, any of those other things.
Totally. Okay, so internships can be amazing.
Yeah.
But I think we need to address the elephant in the room here, the dreaded coffee and copies internship stereotype.
Right.
We've all heard the horror stories of interns getting stuck doing, menial tasks and not really getting any real world experience.
Uh-huh.
How common is that?
Well, the truth is that internship quality can vary drastically.
Okay.
Some of them are amazing and some of them unfortunately fall short of those expectations.
Right.
And I think this is where the NSCI data gets really interesting. It actually gives us a glimpse into what's happening in internships across the country.
Okay, so let's unpack that a little bit.
Yeah.
What does the data tell us about the quality of the internship experience?
Well, one of the key findings is that only about 63% of interns actually had written learning goals for their internships. And this really emphasizes that structure is really important. If you don't have those clear objectives, how can you really measure your progress or determine what you're getting out of the experience?
That makes sense. That's like going on a road trip without a map.
Exactly.
You might end up somewhere, but is it where you actually wanted to go?
Right. And even the types of tasks that are assigned to interns can vary widely.
Okay.
Some students reported doing really high skill work that applied what they were learning in the classroom, while others were primarily shadowing, more senior employees, just kind of watching what they do.
Right.
And then unfortunately, there are still some who are doing those more mundane or low skill tasks.
Right. And I imagine that kind of variety in tasks has a huge impact on what you actually learn.
Yeah.
And how valuable the experience ends up being.
Absolutely.
It's one thing to just observe someone else doing their job.
Right.
But it's quite another to actually, be given responsibility and to do meaningful work yourself.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And it's not just about the tasks either. It's also about the quality of the supervision that the intern is receiving.
Right.
The NSCI found that most supervisors are providing good mentoring and support.
Okay, that's good.
But there's still a concerning percentage of students who feel unsupported or even ignored during their internships.
And that makes sense. I mean, if you're not getting feedback or guidance,
right,
you're not really learning and growing the way that you should be.
Exactly. And this kind of brings us to another really crucial point about the internship landscape, which is the issue of equity.
Okay.
One trend that continues to be a concern is the prevalence of unpaid internships.
Right. Let's be honest. Unpaid internships create a huge barrier for students who can't afford to work for free, even if it means, gaining valuable experience.
Exactly. And unfortunately, the data backs that up.
Okay.
About a third of internships at four-year institutions are unpaid.
Wow.
And then for two-year colleges, it jumps to 50%.
That's almost half of the students at two-year colleges who are doing internships are not getting paid.
Right.
That's really disheartening because it essentially means that these valuable opportunities are being limited to students who come from, more privileged backgrounds.
Yeah.
Students who can afford to work without pay.
You've hit the nail on the head, and it raises some really important questions about fairness and, whether everyone really has an equal chance to benefit from these experiences.
It's definitely some heavy stuff to think about.
Yeah.
And it's not just about finances either, right?
Right.
I mean, the NSCI uncovered a number of other obstacles to internships as well.
Absolutely. There are lots of challenges that students face.
Like what?
Well, they reported things like heavy course loads,
yeah,
difficulty finding internships that aligned with their interests, and even logistical barriers like, transportation or childcare.
Right. And for a lot of students, these obstacles can really stack up and make internships feel almost impossible, even if they're really motivated and they want to do one,
Right.
sometimes it's not about wanting the internship. It's just about, what's actually possible
Exactly.
given your circumstances.
It's about recognizing that there are these systemic barriers in place
Right.
that really prevent a lot of talented students from being able to access these opportunities.
And unfortunately, it doesn't end there.
Right.
Before we move on, there's one more, kind of important issue that I want to make sure we address.
Okay.
And it's something that I find particularly concerning, which is, discrimination in the internship experience.
Yes, this is definitely a critical issue that we need to talk about.
Yeah.
The NSCI found that a small but significant percentage of interns reported experiencing discrimination during their internships.
That's just unacceptable.
Yeah.
I mean, no one should have to face discrimination in any work environment, let alone one that's supposed to be focused on, learning and growth.
Absolutely. And what's even more concerning is that a lot of internship postings don't actually have clear statements about non-discrimination policies.
Wow.
So it leaves students feeling very vulnerable and unprotected.
Right.
And it underscores the need to have better protections in place.
It's kind of shocking that this is still an issue, in this day and age.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder how many talented individuals are being overlooked or pushed out of opportunities just because of who they are or where they come from.
Yeah, you raise a really important point because this discrimination doesn't just harm individuals, it also harms society as a whole.
Right.
When we don't have a diverse workforce, we all miss out.
Well, this has been incredibly insightful.
Yeah.
But it's also pretty heavy. We've uncovered some serious issues within the internship landscape. But I'm curious, what can we do about it?
Yeah.
Are there ways to address these problems and create a more equitable and accessible experience for all students?
That's the million-dollar question. And it's one that we are going to dig into right after a quick break.
All right, sounds good. We'll be right back.
Hello, this is Michael Vandervoort from the Drive Through HR podcast, where we discuss ideas, trends, and activities that impact HR, talent, HR technology in the workplace. Our focus is on expanding knowledge and igniting curiosity as we hear directly from people who are shaping the future of the HR industry. Join us.
We're back, and before the break, we were talking about, some pretty serious issues around equity and discrimination in internships.
Yeah, for sure.
It's heavy stuff, but
Yeah.
it's really important to acknowledge these problems so we can start to think about solutions.
I agree. And that's why, research like this NSCI is so valuable.
Right.
It really helps to shine a light on these issues so we can start to figure out how to improve the system.
Okay, so let's get into that.
Yeah.
If we were designing, the ideal internship program, what features would we prioritize?
Yeah.
How can we make sure that these opportunities are high quality and accessible
Right.
and equitable for all students?
Well, I think first and foremost, we have to address the financial barrier.
Okay.
Paid internships are really essential to level the playing field and ensure that, students from all socioeconomic backgrounds can participate.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense. No one should have to choose between, gaining valuable work experience and being able to pay their bills.
Right.
But it's not just about, offering some small stipend, right?
Right. It needs to be more than just a token amount.
Okay.
Internship pay should really be competitive and sufficient to cover living expenses
Right.
so that students can really focus on learning and growing professionally.
Okay. I'm totally on board with that.
Yeah.
Now, what about some of those other obstacles that we talked about, like, heavy course loads
Yeah.
or the difficulty of even finding the right internship in the first place? How can we address those challenges?
Well, I think colleges and universities have a big role to play here.
Okay.
They really need to step up and provide more support and resources for students who are looking for internships.
Okay.
This could include things like, dedicated internship advisors, workshops on how to find and apply for internships effectively,
Right.
and even offering course credit for internship experiences.
Those all sound like great ideas, especially for first-generation students. Who might not have family members or mentors who can really guide them through that process.
Right.
Having that kind of institutional support
Yeah.
could make a huge difference.
Absolutely. And, colleges can also work more closely with employers to
Definitely.
actually develop these high quality internships that are clearly linked to academic programs. So
Yeah.
that, the experience is really relevant and well structured
Right.
and beneficial for students.
It seems like that kind of collaboration would be a win-win for everyone.
Yeah.
Students get this great learning experience
Yeah.
and employers get access to, this pool of talented and motivated future employees.
Exactly. And to kind of go back to the issue of discrimination that we talked about earlier,
Right.
Clear and comprehensive non-discrimination policies are an absolute must.
Okay.
These policies need to be, prominently displayed on all internship postings.
Yeah.
And most importantly, they need to be enforced.
Right. It's not enough to just have a policy on paper.
Right.
It's really about creating a culture of inclusivity.
Exactly.
Where all interns feel safe and valued and respected.
I agree. And, diversity, equity, and inclusion training
Mm-hmm.
for both supervisors and interns can really go a long way in fostering that kind of positive workplace culture.
That's great advice for colleges and employers to consider.
Yeah.
But what about the students themselves? What can they do to maximize their chances of finding a great internship and making the most of the experience?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think students can really take ownership of their internship search by being proactive, strategic, and starting early.
Yeah, right.
Don't wait until the last minute to start looking.
Right.
Do your research.
Yeah.
Learn about different industries and organizations that you might be interested in.
So it's all about doing your homework and getting a sense of, what's out there before you even start applying.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to tap into your network. Talk to your professors, career counselors, alumni, anyone you can think of.
Right.
Who might have insights or connections in your field.
Yeah, I love that. It's about recognizing that you already have a network.
Yeah.
And using that to kind of build new relationships and open doors to new opportunities.
Exactly. And then once you've landed that internship, be a sponge.
Okay.
Soak up as much knowledge and experience as you can.
Right.
Ask questions, take initiative, show that you're eager to learn and contribute.
Be the intern everyone wants to hire.
Exactly.
You mentioned written learning objectives earlier.
Yeah.
It seems like, having those clearly defined goals is a key part of making sure that the internship is successful.
Absolutely. It's crucial to sit down with your supervisor at the beginning of the internship and really establish those specific learning objectives.
Okay.
This will not only give you a roadmap for your experience, but it will also help you to stay focused on developing the specific skills and knowledge that you need.
And it gives you a concrete way to measure your progress.
Exactly.
And see how much you've actually learned.
Yeah. And along the same lines, don't be shy about asking for feedback.
Okay.
Ask your supervisor for honest assessments of your work and advice on how you can improve.
Right.
Remember, internships are all about learning and growth.
Yeah.
So embrace those opportunities to get constructive criticism.
Okay.
And continue to refine your skills.
It sounds like communication is key throughout the whole process.
It really is. Open and honest communication with your supervisor, your mentors. Even your fellow interns can really make a difference.
So far, we've been focusing mostly on traditional internships.
Yeah.
But are there other types of work-based learning experiences that students should be exploring?
That's a great question. The world of work-based learning is changing so rapidly.
Okay.
And there are so many new and innovative approaches that are emerging.
Okay.
That can provide students with valuable hands-on experiences and connect them with different career pathways.
That's exciting. Can you give us some examples?
Absolutely. One model that's gaining a lot of traction is apprenticeships.
Okay.
Apprenticeships combine on-the-job training with traditional classroom instruction, and they allow students to earn a wage while they're learning a skilled trade.
I can see how that would be a really great option for students who are more hands-on learners.
Yeah.
And maybe aren't interested in pursuing that traditional 4-year college degree.
Exactly. Apprenticeships offer a different kind of pathway, and they can lead to really fulfilling and well-paying careers in a wide range of fields.
I've also heard a lot about micro-internships.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
What are those all about?
Micro-internships are basically these short-term paid projects that give students a taste of what it's like to work in a specific role or industry. They're a great way for students to kind of test the waters and explore different career paths without the commitment of a full-fledged internship.
So it's like a low-pressure way to kind of try things out.
Exactly.
Build your resume and gain some new skills.
Yeah, and because they're often done remotely, they can be much more accessible for students who might face, geographic or logistical barriers.
It sounds like we're kind of taking those best aspects of traditional internships and making them more flexible and adaptable.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it. But, it's not just about the structure of these experiences.
Okay.
It's also about really broadening our definition of what counts as valuable work-based learning.
That's an interesting point. What do you mean by that?
Well, we need to move beyond just focusing on, formal internships or apprenticeships.
Okay.
There are so many other ways for students to gain real-world skills and explore their career interests.
Like what? Give us some examples.
Well, think about things like research projects, volunteering, student clubs and organizations, even part-time jobs.
Right.
All of these experiences, if they're approached with the right mindset, can help students to develop those transferable skills, build their networks, and get exposed to different career fields.
So it's about recognizing that learning can happen anywhere.
Exactly.
Not just in a classroom or, a formal internship setting.
Right. And it's about encouraging students to view all of their experiences through this career development lens.
Okay.
To ask themselves, how am I building my skills? How am I making connections?
Right.
How am I learning about myself in the world of work?
It's like a mindset shift.
Yeah.
Right. It's moving away from, I need to get an internship.
Yeah.
And more towards, how can I use all of my experiences to prepare for my future?
I love that. That's a much more empowering way to think about it.
This has been so eye-opening. I'm feeling really inspired to rethink my own approach to career planning.
Yeah.
And explore all the different pathways that are out there.
Me too. And that's what's so exciting about this field.
Yeah.
Because there's just so much innovation happening. I can't wait to see what the future holds.
This deep dive has definitely given me a lot to think about. And I imagine our listeners are feeling the same way.
Yeah.
So before we wrap things up, let's leave them with something to ponder.
Yeah.
We've been talking about all these different approaches to work-based learning, and it seems like there's a real shift happening from simply checking the internship box to thinking more holistically about how all kinds of experiences can contribute to career development.
Absolutely. It's about recognizing that the traditional model of, that college to career pipeline, it's changing.
Right.
And students need to be prepared, with a wider range of experiences and skills to be able to navigate this new landscape.
So if you were a student today and thinking about your future career, what advice would you give them based on all of these insights about the changing world of work?
I think I would just encourage students to be curious and to explore.
Yeah.
Don't limit yourself to just one path or one type of experience. Step outside of your comfort zone.
Right.
Try new things. You never know what those experiences might lead to.
I love that. It's about embracing the unexpected.
Yeah.
And being open to opportunities that, might not fit the traditional mold.
Exactly. And don't underestimate the power of networking.
Okay.
Talk to people who are doing work that interests you.
Yeah.
Learn about their journeys. Ask for advice. Building relationships can really open doors that you might not have even known were there.
Yeah, networking can feel intimidating, I think, for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But it's really just about connecting with people who share your interests and, learning from their experiences.
Yeah, you got it. And remember that, work-based learning, it's not just about, landing a job after you graduate.
Right.
It's about developing valuable skills, building your confidence, and figuring out what you're really passionate about. And those are all things that are going to benefit you throughout your life, no matter what career path you end up choosing.
So for our listener out there, if you were designing the ideal work-based learning experience,
what would that look like?
Yeah.
What features would you prioritize?
Right.
And what can we all do collectively to make sure that these opportunities are, truly accessible and equitable for every student?
That's the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
And it's one that I hope we'll continue to, discuss and debate as a society. The future of work is changing so rapidly.
Right.
And we need to really adapt our approach to education and career development.
Yeah.
So that we can prepare students for whatever lies ahead.
Well, it's definitely a challenge, but it's also a really exciting time to be thinking about these issues.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm feeling really energized and optimistic about the possibilities.
Me too. There's so much potential for innovation and positive change in this field.
Yeah.
And I'm confident that, if we work together, we can create a system that really works for everyone.
That's a great note to end on. Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of college internships.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And the future of work-based learning. It's been great.
See you next time.
This has been From Dorms to Desks, job hunting tips for those early in their careers. A podcast brought to you by College Recruiter job search site, which believes that every student and recent grad deserves a great career. Each episode, we dive into tips, tricks, and insights that will help you land your next part-time, seasonal, internship, or entry-level job. Subscribe to this podcast for free now, so you don't miss an episode, and visit www.collegerecruiter.com to find your next great job.
Mint is still $15 a month for premium wireless. And if you haven't made the switch yet, here are 15 reasons why you should. 1, it's $15 a month. 2, seriously, it's $15 a month. 3, no big contracts. 4, I use it. 5, my mom uses it. Are you playing me off? That's what's happening, right? Okay, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan. $15 per month equivalent required. New customer offer first 3 months only. Then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.